Sort of.
Okay then. You are one sick kid.
What?
Never mind. I'll be back in an hour and then it's lights out. God, that thing is creepy.
We are talking about the low-budget anthology movie Grim Woods. This one is directed by Ryan Byrne and Daniel O'Brien. And this features just 3 stories and a wraparound. So the wraparound story is that there are some counsellors out in some summer camp in America, and they find this old book which has got these kind of various horror stories in there. Now, ironically, this is an old book, yet all the horror stories are in contemporary modern times. That should be your first alarm bell there. But anyway, unless we have 3 stories. The first one being this this babysitter is round this young girl's house, and there is a clown doll that seems to come alive, or does it? There may be something else afoot here. The second one is about a girl who goes to a gypsy kind of fortune teller at a carnival and gets a curse, and it's her attempts to rid herself of the curse. And the last one, which I personally thought was the best one, was we have a group of Americans go to the Netherlands, I think it is, and of asking to local kind of attractions, and they're warned to stay away from this particular forest overnight because there are sirens in there, and inevitably they go in there. So that's your kind of your basic plot premise here. What do we think? So this is a super low budget movie, and is not too concerned with things like plot holes or continuity. As I've mentioned already in the wraparound story, that there is questions you'd ask why they're modern stories set in literally modern times with things like apps in this kind of old book, but that's a minor one compared to some of these kind of plot holes. But what works, first of all, as I've said, I think the best one for me was the this last one, this kind of one that takes place in this woods, the Netherlands. Just because I felt it had the most sort of spooky atmosphere, even though there's no real special effects in here. It's just kind of like women, basically being sirens, really, kind of luring the men away. But nonetheless, I found it was quite well shot, that one. The kind of like the use of the kind of the dark and shadows and stuff like that. And actually, the story wasn't too bad, even though it's pretty predictable in regards to obviously where it was going. I still found it pretty an interesting story. I actually didn't think the clown one had some good ideas in regards to the twist in regards to that story. It's poorly executed and doesn't make a lot of sense, but there is an idea of a kind of a twist here which in theory works, but nonetheless is in practice not quite as good as you maybe would have want. To be honest with you, this is a low budget film. It looks like it was shot very quickly because, like I said, there are some leaps in logic here. Without giving away spoilers, it's just full of plot holes. The acting is pretty amateurish throughout the film, throughout all of the kind of segments here. I don't think there's one that really escapes. The performances go from at best kind of average to at worst downright embarrassing, if I'm completely honest with you. No real special effects in this movie. Obviously shot on an absolute shoestring of a budget. Not the most interesting. I will say, because the segments are a little longer, we do get a little bit more characterization than say maybe a lot of anthologies that have a lot more stories but a lot of shorter running time. This way, at least you do get a little bit of characterization within the kind of our 3 stories. So you do feel like you get to know the protagonists at least a little bit. Overall, this is on the weaker side of an anthology kind of horror movie. I don't think it really has a much going for it outside of a couple of good ideas that are relatively poorly executed. If you just like kind of like some cheesy horror fun, you may want to kind of give it a go. I have seen, at least the stories here do have an element of interest, although I think the execution, as I've mentioned, is kind of poor across the board here. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.